this is Jinju at kimchimari.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Korean spinach side dish. We call it Shigeumchi Namul. It's the simplest way to enjoy the full flavor and texture of spinach. Koreans love to actually cook spinach. We usually don't eat them raw. The kind of spinach that you use for this dish is kind of important, but not an absolute. You can use any kind of spinach, but I do recommend that you get ones that are they're tender, but also they're more they have more texture. So they're basically three kinds of spinach: Savoy, semi-Savoy, and flat leaf. And Savoy spinach are the ones that you see that have round leaves and they're kind of bubbly and curly. I'll compare that later. The one that works best for this is the flat leaf spinach. Stop it. The best kind of spinach that works well for this dish is flat leaf spinach. That is a little more, has a little bit more of a fiber, and so it turns out great when you blanch it. So this is a very simple way, not just for spinach. You can do this with sukkat, you can do this with any other green leafy vegetables. Also, it's kind of what we do with bean sprouts and mung bean sprouts. So we are going to quickly blanch it and then season it simply with just sesame oil, salt, a little bit of green onion, and finish it off with some sesame seeds. So the quality of the salt and sesame oil is pretty important, and you can actually buy a great quality, my most favorite sesame oil from my shop. So check that out. I'll put a link to that in the description. And then, well, let's get cooking. The differences between them. So this is a Korean spinach that actually grew this year for the first time using the seeds that I sell on my shop. And this is how it looks. It actually has a very distinctive, okay, this is a good example, shape, right? It kind of has a spear-like shape, but also a little bit like a star. It has great flavor, more kind of intense than the commonly available American one. The leaves are kind of flat and thin, and then the stems also stay pretty slender. Compared to the American one, this one is also more fibrous. It withstands cooking better. Koreans don't eat spinach raw, basically. We love cooking with it. We either blanch it and make namul with it, or we put it in soup. And you can, as you can imagine, soup is cooked for some time and you'll be reheating it. So if you can buy these at a Korean grocery store, or if you can grow them, it's really easy to grow. Now it's kind of past the time in my California area, so it's started to bolt a little bit, so that's why I took all of these out. But yeah, and you can, harvest it. Probably this is a little too big, if it's about that size or a little bigger, it's great. And so that's the Korean one. And this is the commonly available Savoy spinach that you can buy at American grocery stores. The leaves are round, they're curly, they're softer, more tender. They're perfect for salads, to eat raw. But you can also make namul with it. I tried it and it works fine. Just make sure you don't overcook it because they easily overcook and it can get mushy. So just blanch it very lightly and immediately put in ice cold water, as I'll show you now. Okay, so I'm going to use my homegrown spinach, Korean spinach. It's about 8 ounce. I cut the root ends off, and then they become all these separate leaves, and I rinsed it. Now I'm going to boil about 6 cups of water and a tablespoon of Korean sea salt. That works best. If you're going to use table salt, please reduce the amount because they're a lot saltier. And then once the water's boiling, we want to blanch. We want to put in all the spinach into it, and we're going to blanch it about 1.5 minutes. Usually is what I do. So yeah, just kind of toss it over and let it come back to boil, and that's usually when it's ready to be removed from the heat. And so before actually you start blanching, it's best if you actually prepare a bath of ice water. Make a bowl of cold ice water, and then just test the thickest stems of the spinach, and if they bend easily, then they're cooked. And because they just cook very easily, you don't want to leave it in the pot and turn the heat off, because it will continue to cook. So you want to have that cold water, ice water ready. And then once it's done, we want to immediately transfer. So yeah, now see how the stems bend easily. So I think it's ready to be taken and into an ice bath. So I'm going to take it over. I'm going to put it in this cold water. You want to do this so that it will stop cooking. Also, the very wonderful green color will remain that way when you sort of shock it with this ice water. Okay, so now once it's all cold, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of hold the bunch between your hands and then squeeze the water out gently. You don't want to just totally make a mush, but you just want to hold it and squeeze out the water a few times gently, and you'll end up with a ball like this. And so for about 8 ounces of spinach, you'll probably end up with 2 handfuls of spinach like that, with the water squeezed. And then we want to sort of untangle those spinach leaves so that they're ready for seasoning. Okay, and it's just very simple. 2 green onions chopped, and then about a half. So I start with a teaspoon here, but I only sprinkled about half of this Korean sea salt, 천일염, or use kosher salt if you don't have the Korean salt. But just make sure you use some really good tasting sea salt. That's important. And then we're going to add some sesame oil. And yes, the flavor of the sesame oil is going to make a big difference. So if you can, please buy the best quality sesame oil. My favorite two are the ones that I sell on my shop called 진참기름. And then also you can buy ottogi premium sesame oil. Okay, and I just added some chopped green onions, sprinkled some sesame seeds, and then you just kind of gently toss with your fingers to make sure they're all evenly coated with the seasonings that you just added. And make sure you taste. And then that's it. Enjoy it just as a side dish, banchan, as a topping to your bibimbap, and however you may like it. It's gluten-free, vegan. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Bye.